Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Health Center. I'm Lorraine Brooks, and I'll be your host for today's show. We have a special show planned for you today. My two guests are going to be Suzanne White, who is Clinical Assistant Professor of Occupational Therapy here at the Downstate Medical Center College of Health-Related Professions, and my other guest is Eileen Lamourie, who's a graduate student in occupational therapy here at Downstate as well. We're going to see a video that is entitled OTs Walk with NAMI. OTs being occupational therapists, and NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. After we see the DVD, then we'll come back and talk with our guests about this special program.
Walking is a part of my recovery because it helps my overall, it helps my mental, it helps my emotions, and it gets me going.
I love walking in Manhattan, so now sometimes I'll just get out at the 96th Street station and walk down to 42nd Street with the lights and the signs.
Then it's, oh, this feels good, then I want to go another block. You start with something small, and then before you know it, it just becomes a part of you. And you'll be walking when everybody else don't want to walk.
I think that people who are consumers of mental health services are at greater risk for developing obesity and the metabolic syndrome. So obesity located around your middle, not obesity of your arms and legs particularly, but obesity in the middle, the upper body, and the abdomen. And what does that mean? From a very functional point of view, that means you have a pot belly. High blood pressure goes along with that. Elevated fats in your blood. So you have fat that you can see under your skin, and you have fat that you can measure in your bloodstream.
The population that has higher rates of diabetes and obesity are people with serious and persistent mental illness. Mental health consumers are known to have higher rates of metabolic syndrome, more likely to have alcohol drug addiction. One prominent study recently that said that, consumers die 25 years earlier than non-consumers. That in itself is a linkage between mortality and mental health.
I worked as a clinician in a program that was also part of one of the drug trials for the new atypicals. So we were putting our clients on these new atypicals, and although they were helping with the psychiatric symptoms, the clients were gaining a lot of weight.
Now you might ask, well, if that's a side effect of these medicines, shouldn't I stop taking those medicines? But I've had cases of, I can remember one of them, an 18-year-old woman who came into our hospital with new onset diabetes. And she had finally been put on a medication for her mental health that actually helped her. And now she had gained, in the 6 months prior to her admission, she had gained 100 pounds and developed diabetes. So initially I was an intern, my first thought was, well, get rid of the offending medication and you'll get rid of the diabetes. So I asked her mother about this, and the mother looked at me like I was from Mars, and she said, this is the first time I've had my daughter back as a human being. She says, I'm not going to stop that medication. She says, you're going to fix the diabetes. And I took a back seat and I said, gee, she's right.
Last year I was at a conference up in Boston, and I heard this incredible speaker from Harvard talk about metabolic syndrome and what the causes of it were and some ways to combat it. And it made me think more about walking.
For people who live with mental illness, it's always been about the mind. And now there's a mind-body, more people have a mind-body connection.
When I find I'm trying to multitask or do too much, that starts pouring in immediately. The brain starts going, and then I have to just distract myself, and it's not good. But when I'm calm, or if that starts to happen, and I go right back to meditating or yoga or eating well or doing something, then it calms down again and I'm fine. So that's also part of wellness for me.
I just really seek to enjoy life. I seek to stay on top of the illness and don't let it get on top of me again.
wellness in that case is, well, then how can I help that person just get back to doing things? Starting there. So they're starting to do activities, and let's say they've been dealing with depression, and now they're getting back to doing things. Maybe the depression begins to lift a little bit, and then all of a sudden, wow, there's a new possibility here that I never thought about. And that's the kind of thing I view in our role as an occupational therapist, is a lot of times people can't see the other possibilities. So if I can find what that person's interests are, and then it becomes a real collaboration between that individual and myself, we can explore new possibilities that they perhaps didn't think were there.
Medication, treatment, verbal treatments, occupational therapy type treatments, activity treatments, and now exercise. That becomes a really big part of it. And that's where the walk comes in, to get people moving.
Let's say if you participate in this walking program, so and we maybe just start doing 3 minutes a day in the beginning. And once you start to feel more energy, we can then help redirect it to hopefully helping people make that connection to seeing that as I feel better, I'm starting to sense something different within myself.
Because then once somebody's got a hope and a dream, then you can help them kind of take the little steps to get closer to it. And that's what I think OTs really do, help people take small steps to get to that dream that they have.
NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness of New York City Metro, is our chapter. It's a national organization whose goal is to eliminate the stigma attached to people living with mental illness.
We provide support services for people, both family members and individuals who have serious mental illness. But we're really a community, and I think that best describes us. For people who haven't done any physical activity, it's wonderful if they can go through a program where they begin exercising, they do it in smaller increments, and they have a goal, something to look forward to, where they can come together on the same day and do a major walk.
The program is OTs Walk with NAMI. It is designed to put together a 12-week walking program to get clients started moving. And it also is going to allow us to join NAMI on their walk, which they're going to do in May.
The first goal of the walk is to fundraise for the organization. Everything we do, all our support services, our education services, everything's free of charge. And having a walk really allows us the flexibility to provide the programs to really meet the needs of the diverse communities in New York.
We have a website called NAMIWalksNYC.org where people can create their own walker webpage and their own team page and put their photos up on there. They can fundraise from the same page and send it to all of their friends and family members and show them what they're doing. And then this year we've created a Facebook page. A lot of people are using Facebook.com now to have dialogue and just to speak to each other and to get to know each other, because it is a networking site. So I think we're trying to take advantage of all that the internet has to offer. This year we hope to have at least 2,500 people. I'd love to see 3,000. I'd love to see 4,000. I don't see any reason why we can't.
The NAMI walk, it was so exciting for me. It was just awesome to be there, and finally in 2005 is when I really stepped forth with acknowledging my mental illness. And so the walk was another way of acknowledging the mental illness and all of us coming together.
It was fantastic. The energy, the vibes, everyone's encouragement of each other, the support, the love. And we found that people who didn't make it were really upset with themselves because they heard through word of mouth that it was such a powerful movement and that we demanded our voice to be heard and we put a face to it.
No more stigma. It's over. This is what I am. This is what happened to me. But look at us now. Look at what we can accomplish. We're still people, and we still have a life.
That pride that comes with being out there and sharing, hey, I'm a consumer. Hey, I have a mental illness and I don't have to be ashamed and I can walk with all these great people. You're coping with some of the, scariness of the illness by not isolating. You're out there walking, and you're sharing yourself and your story and your journey with other people.
And to be with NAMI and everybody so united, it was love.
Welcome back. Once again, my guests on today's show are Suzanne White, Clinical Assistant Professor of Occupational Therapy here at Downstate, and Eileen Lamori, who's a graduate student of Occupational Therapy also here at Downstate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've just seen a very interesting video of a program that both of you are involved in. And I wonder if you could explain a little bit more about the program, Suzanne. I know that you had told me before the show that you're involved in a special interest group as part of your occupational therapy group, and maybe you want to explain that a bit to us and tell us how this got started?
This is a group, the Mental Health Task Force of the Metropolitan Occupational Therapy Association, that really pulled together in order to maintain a mental health presence within this community. And we've done projects off and on over the years. We've maintained ourselves as a really solid group. And this past year was 12 years that we've been together, and one of my colleagues, Diane Tufik, said, oh, we need to do something big. And I've kind of had in the back of my mind that we needed to do another project with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Mm-hmm. And as it said in the video, I had been to a conference and I heard about metabolic syndrome again. And so I thought, why don't we do a walk program? We can put together something that's health and wellness related for our clients, for our colleagues, and try and spread it around the country, because there really isn't enough focus on prevention and wellness for people with mental illness.
So metabolic syndrome is a particular illness?
It's a syndrome is a cluster of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
It consists of things like potential for diabetes, for heart disease, for arteriosclerosis.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is to, and it's it's
related to the medication?
Right, it's related to the new atypical antipsychotic medication that many people are taking. And so it's a way of starting to try and combat that.
So if a person is on a particular type of medication to treat their mental illness, that medication, one of the side effects or one of the adverse effects is the development of metabolic syndrome.
Right, exactly.
And walking specifically? is a good treatment for metabolic syndrome?
Well, there's many things that are part of the process. You know, a good healthy lifestyle, decreased stress, good nutrition are a part of it. But I thought that the piece that's really not so prominent is the idea of exercise. And it's been clear to me, teaching courses in psychiatry, that exercise is a very valuable tool for no matter what to maintain mental health. And so that's where the whole idea of walking came from. Plus, NAMI Metro, New York City, had their first walkathon this past year. And I thought, oh, we can just capture that whole experience by putting this 12-week walking program ahead of it, and then the clients will all be prepared to come and join them, and it can just be this wonderful advocacy day where we really try and bust the stigma of mental illness.
That's wonderful. So it was a natural marriage of the two programs at the right time. And Eileen, what was your involvement in this?
As you said, I'm a graduate student in occupational therapy, and I have a class called Community Practice, which encourages students to go out into the community and work with a population that might not get a lot of occupational therapy services.
Okay.
And I had a different idea, and it was kind of falling apart on me, so I went in to talk to Suzanne and asked her if she had any other ideas, and she said, well, I have this walking program I'm wanting to do, and I'd like to have a student participate. And she described what it was, and I have, for a variety of reasons, was very interested in the program. I believe in exercise, and I have people in my family who have chronic mental illness, so it was immediately interesting to me.
So what did you actually do? You went out into the community and you found a group of people that you could work with?
In this case, it's actually the occupational therapy group.
Okay.
So for me, my role is a little different than for some of the other students who might be working at a senior center, for example, doing falls prevention. For me, it was actually helping create all the course materials, working with the mental health task force, and also the other students and professors and clinicians, and getting people interested in running the programs.
So how many people actually were involved in this actual program?
Initially, the protocol was 3 people. Then the first meeting was about 25 people. And so from Downstate, I have now my students involved in it in their mental health field work. The Department of Psychiatry is coming on board. We're doing a presentation to the Downstate NAMI on Thursday. So it's
growing.
It's also playing forward nationally. So
talk a little bit about that. What do you mean playing forward nationally?
I'll let Eileen do that.
We happened to go to a pre-walk meeting that had some people who were interested in fundraising. It was really to attract people who might be able to start corporate teams for NAMI, for the local affiliate that was our collaborator for the project. And we showed the video. It was for me anyway, it was very surprising. We had just finished the video like the day before, and it was just like a whirlwind. And there were people who were involved in the fundraising arm of the national organization who were interested in trying to use parts of the video for fundraising. So that's hopefully in the works as a possibility, and we're hoping that in exchange for doing that, which we would love to have them use it, we will be able to get some national attention for the program itself.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, walking, though, is something anybody can do.
That's why we chose it.
And you don't have to be mentally ill or have any kind of diagnosis in order for walking to be beneficial.
Right.
Are there people who suffer from mental illness who do not suffer from metabolic syndrome for whom walking would still be beneficial? Or is that a group that you...
No, I think that exercise, as I said earlier, exercise is beneficial for everybody. It's kind of like brushing your teeth, I believe, at this point. So everybody needs to do it every day. It's not something you should ignore. And I think that because anybody can do it, it normalizes it. It doesn't cost anything to go for a walk. We live in a fabulous city that you can look around the corner and find something new if you choose to. So and New Yorkers are walkers. New Yorkers are definitely walkers. So trying to get people who are more passive in their leisure to begin to move seemed like a very natural fit.
And the evidence that Eileen found when she started to work with us supported doing walks.
What is it about walking? What is it about exercise that benefits
People
mental
with mental illness? To really combat the effects of metabolic syndrome, you have to walk quite a bit. And that
What is quite a bit?
probably 20 minutes for 5 days a week, which is not what the program is built. The program is really built to start people out, just moving. And but what it can do for people with mental illness, definitely, even if you only do one 20-minute group a week, is make you feel better. There's evidence that suggests that it will improve your mood.
It's an endorphin thing.
It's
Is
an
it
endorphin thing. I'm a
thing?
big
Okay.
fan of the endorphin thing myself. So
And that's true of anybody,
Right.
obviously.
and
Right.
yeah.
Is there a right way and a wrong way to walk? Is it just walking, or is it?
There are little things that we suggest as part of the protocol that group leaders do and don't do, and I think it's one of these things that's very counterintuitive for the normal exerciser, you know, especially people who are like a weekend warrior. They hit it hard and they get an injury.
Okay.
Hitting it hard is not what you're after. Stairs for people
Gradually.
who might have a little bit more weight and might have some stress on their joints, not the smartest thing.
Okay.
So a level surface,
Okay.
a place where you can potentially, if people are feeling a little stressed or fatigued, you can leave somebody on a park bench and come back and pick them up. So you want to do a circuit.
Okay.
Actually, I think that's confusing. You don't want to do so much of a circuit. You want to go from point
To a
A to point
location
B
and
and
come
back.
back.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the other thing I was thinking about too was that it also involves stretching in the beginning at the end. So just to
what
kind of
good does that
loosen
do?
yourself up.
To avoid injury?
Yeah,
Or,
to
okay.
avoid injury, to begin moving, to start to feel inside your body.
And if there's a person who has not been very active for a while, is there a way for them to sort of work their way into it? The stretching, appropriate equipment, maybe the right shoes, the
Sure.
right.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that we've done is that we've designed the first 2 sessions where it's really not about going out for a walk. It's to look at your motivation and to see where you are in the spectrum of, are you thinking about it? Are you haven't thought about it? Kind of thing. Where kind of, are you ready to make a plan? Do you do it? So there's, are you ready to walk survey?
Okay.
There's the biggest area for change isn't really in weight, it's in waist measurement. So there's a waist measurement guide, so you can
Okay.
take your waist measurement. We have a mood scale so that people can rate their mood at the before they start walking and after they finish the walk, so that they can see whether their mood changes. So that it's all very concretized, so that people can feel engaged at a level that works for them. And it's flexible, because we want people to get started with that's the expectation. It's not that people are going to be going to walking races and things like that they get started and they start moving regularly and hopefully find it valuable, like the people on the video have been talking about, and continue to do it afterwards. And they find that the NAMI walk is so empowering that also helps them continue to keep walking.
So some of the measurements are subjective, for example, mood, and
Right.
some are more measurable.
Right, right.
Like actual waist. Why is waist size important?
Adipose tissue, just fat around your middle, as Dr. Banerjee says in the video, having a pot belly is particularly linked with being at risk for metabolic
With
syndrome.
metabolic syndrome, okay. And walking helps to counteract the buildup of fat around your midsection.
It changes the way you metabolize carbohydrates and fats, which is what we're after, yeah.
That's very interesting. You guys are doing wonderful work. I'm going to give you an opportunity, because we're running out of time, to plug your program. So where can people get in touch with you if they need to or want more information about what you're doing?
Okay, so the one place that they can do it is they can go on Facebook, because we started a Facebook page called OT's Walk with NAMI. So that's a very easily accessible resource. the other thing is if you want to join the NAMI walk, NAMI also has web pages and Facebook pages for people to go on to.
Okay.
Or they can contact me in the department, which is 718-270-7734.
Do you have a web page that's associated with this particular program?
No, we're using the Facebook instead of a
Okay.
web page. That seemed, with my skill set, it seemed a little bit too complicated to put together right now.
So people can contact you, or they can go on Facebook. And what would they look for if they go on Facebook?
They go to Facebook, then if you've never been on Facebook before, you register. So you have to fill out your email address and some other piece of data, a password, that's it.
Okay, so
And
it's very
then
easy to
you
do.
type in the search box, OT's Walk with NAMI, and it will pop up.
Great.
It'll pop up automatically.
Thank you so much for both being on today's show. You've been wonderful guests, and I wish you a lot of luck with your program. And thank you for watching Health Center.